Good evening, everyone. I, Rutvika Banekar, will be the host for today's session. Today's session is on the topic Strategic Brand Management and Communication in FMCG sector. The speaker for the session will be Kiran Giradkar, sir. We are really excited to learn from you, sir. Let us begin by welcoming our guest speaker for today. Kiran Giradkar, sir, currently works at Nilon's Private Limited as Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. He has previously worked at Storia Beverages Limited, Distillery International Private Limited, Parley Products Private Limited, and in many other reputed organizations. He loves trekking and storytelling. He has more than 18 years of experience and has his expertise in new product design and incubation, digital and social media content management, brand strategy and positioning, advertising and communication development, and in numerous other areas. Now, I would like to quickly introduce Foodyaari. Foodyaari is a web based educational platform for the food technologies community. Here you will get information about food industry in the form of quizzes, blogs, articles, polls, and pre-recorded or live courses. Foodyaari also helps you to connect large number of people so that you can learn and grow together. I request the participants to please post their questions in the comment section below, which will be answered at the end of this webinar. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Okay, good evening and thank you, Ritvika and Foodyaari for hosting me. I am really glad and looking forward to interact with young people. There's a benefit for me. Always, there are lots of insight which actually flows when you keep your ears and eyes open. And I think that this session is nothing different. And rather than I telling some stories to people, I would be more glad if people ask more questions, etc. And there'll be lots of exchange of insights. And that is what basically marketing is all about. I'm not much big fan of the presentations, but just for the sake of the benefit of the people, so that they don't keep on seeing my face always and they don't get bored. I will take some presentation which is just a visual aid for me, visual support for me. That is the session is going to be about 30 minutes where I will be taking you guys through a presentation which is nothing but the summary of what I learned from FMCG industry and industry in particular. Post that, I would recommend to have a very, very engaging session, a very, very interactive session where you can pour in with whatever questions you guys have about the presentation, about this industry or whatever. Okay, let's learn together. It can be FMCG, it can be FMCD, or it can be even B2B marketing, or it might not be related to even food. While I've tried to cover most of the aspects of the food marketing in this kind of presentation. So let me just take a minute and go to my presentation. Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, here we are. Thank you again, Foodyaari, for hosting me. And I'm welcoming everyone for this wonderful evening. I'm sorry I'm taking your time out of this weekend stuff, but let's make it maximum. As I said, marketing is something which we all know. And in fact, every one of us in this world is a marketer. I mean, we are selling one thing or other at any point of time. So marketing, when you say you guys, most of you guys who are from MBA background must be knowing what is it. But I would like to bring here some kind of points where the FMCG food marketing is quite different from the rest of the marketing. Food marketing, where I spend maximum time, it's absolutely different than the other kind of marketing. If I want to pick out few things, one is food marketing is basically about satiating the hunger, or satiating the thirst of the people. So it's basically about quenching the thirst and the share of the throat. You're doing each and everything to get the share of people's throat, whether it's food or beverages. So taste buds is one thing which is very, very critical, and everybody has a different taste buds. That's why this food marketing becomes very, very critical and very, very complex. It is not like if you're having the soaps. Okay, one soap can actually travel everywhere, and people can get it, but a single product cannot travel everywhere. because depending on the regions, the taste buds are different, and that is why customization is one of the biggest key, and that is where most of the challenges are faced by marketing professional like us. So how do we tackle that? Trial generation for the new product actually become very, very important. And also one more very critical point in food marketing is your packaging and your label becomes quite important. I mean, in fact, your packaging is the best advertising, because people while buying your product, they are spending lot of time in reading your label. So the label management and what is going into the product, etc., actually happens much more there. You are not likely to watch and read the entire label of soap when you buy. You must have never ever read the entire label of toothpaste you buy. But when you buy some beverage or food, you are likely to spend more time on the label. So these are the critical things which actually makes food marketing very, very different than the other marketing, and that's why it's quite challenging. So in today's session, let's discuss how do we tackle this food marketing or FMCG marketing. Uh, for any successful marketer, he or she has to understand few differences. One point is trends and fads. Most of the time, most of the people actually commit the mistake of thinking the trends are same as fads, which is obviously not true. And your marketing strategy, whenever you design, can actually fall on its face because you have mistook some fads as a trend. So we will dwell more into that. We will also understand what is the critical difference between observation and insights. Okay, because any marketing, any product, any communication actually is completely built on the insights. So I have seen in my career most of my colleagues or juniors, etc., or even seniors coming out and telling me some observation they have found in the market as an insight. So it's not that. I mean, we will dwell more onto that to understand what is critical. Power of branding. I mean, it can never be overemphasized. We all know how branding works. So there are various aspects of the branding, but one aspect which is least spoken about, I will just take it up, which is brand purpose. After that, we will see how the targeting and segmentation actually is done. Again, there is a difference between targeting and segmentation, which we'll dwell upon. And followed by that, we will talk about power up packaging. We will go through some of the examples which I feel are the great packaging in the Indian context. Also, we will go through some beautiful advertising where lots of insights are built and become iconic ads, again in the context of India. So most of my examples will actually be Indian context. So good till here. So let's deep dive into this. Trends and fads. So the trends actually, there is a difference between trends and fads. So fads is something which catches up the fancy of most of the people at a time in a very short time, but after some time they actually go out, they fizzle out, they fade out. That's why they are called as fads. While trends are something which is for the long term. For example, when COVID struck, most of the brands started utilizing immunity booster as a trend, but it was not a trend; it was a fad because for 2 years the immunity booster was a keyword, but that can no longer be sustained in the packaging and in the marketing. There, you must be knowing there was a trend of Dalgona coffee, or there is a trend of some mixed food or fancy foods, etc. So obviously they make most of the sense in terms of the virality for the digital content, but when it comes about marketing, I mean, you cannot build your business on that. So if there is a brand manager or a marketing manager who picks up this fad as a trend and build a marketing strategy, it is more likely to fail. So we got to be very, very careful about understanding what is fad and what is trend. Now, trends obviously are the very long term. For example, if you are following food industry, sustainable packaging is one trend which is catching up. Another trend which is catching up very fast and it's going to be staying for here is the plant-based protein, because awareness about animal welfare, etc., is happening, so people are going towards the plant-based meats. So it's a big industry and its industry is going to be staying. So most of these food industries are building up their growth parameters on the basis of plant-based foods, etc. So these are the things which are very, very important. Another trend which we are finding since last 10 years is non-sugar beverages or less sugar beverages. In fact, Coca-Cola, one of the best brands in beverages, have already started, in big time into introducing non-sugar beverages. So that is the thing. In fact, even most of these sugar industries have gone into the artificial sweeteners. So, the point which I want you guys to take away from this is that please be very, very careful about whenever you build your strategy on the basis of you please filter out what is fad and what is trends. So that was the point on trends and fads. Now, second thing is observation and insights. अभी बहुत बार आपने सुना होगा कि मैं मार्केट गया था, ओके, मैंने ये देखा, ओके, सो व्हाट यू सी इज नॉट एन इनसाइट. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल, when I was working with Bajaj Consumer Care hair oil, my brand team actually went to the market and told ki yaar, we are doing good as compared to the Kio Carpin. So I said why, but the sales numbers are not showing that. So they said they have actually done groups and they have understood from most of these people who are into the groups to the research that we are doing very, very well, and they have stopped buying Kyokarpin. So I was very, very puzzled ki why it must be happening, because my sales number were not actually matching up to that. So I had done some kind of a cross checking. I went out to those people and understood ki why do you believe so. You might now have not have bought that Kyokarpin or in a Bajaj Almond Drops hair oil, but why are you saying so? So most of these ladies in Kolkata, they said कि क्योकारपिन हमारा बहुत पुराना हेयर ऑयल है, लेकिन वो आजकल ऐड ही नहीं करता है, और बजाज आमंड ड्रॉप्स का एड हमको हमेशा दिखता है. अब जब बजाज आमंड ड्रॉप्स का एड दिखता है तो इसका मतलब वो बहुत सक्सेसफुल होंगे, प्रोडक्ट बहुत चल रहा होगा. Or Kyokarpin is not doing that, means they are not successful, they are not a good brand. Now see, this is very, very simple example where you can make out an entire strategy about the brand if you want to conquer that market, what you need. For instance, in this case, कलकत्ता में अगर मुझे क्योकारपिन को हराना था तो एडवर्टाइजिंग वाज द की स्ट्रेटेजी, बिकॉज women there tend to believe कि जो ज्यादा एडवर्टाइज कर रहा है it is a successful product and it's a good product. Now we must be aware that this insight might not be relatable in other market. And you got to be very, very careful about that. So point I'm trying to say here is observation is something which you see on the face of it. You have to deep dive and tear it out to understand the insight, and that is where you will be building your strategy. One case in Nilon that we have again seen that most of this household wherever we go and see masala का packs, आपके घर में होते हैं ना 50 ग्राम के पैक्स एक्सेट्रा, और मेरे घर में भी होते हैं फ्रिज में, वो आफ्टर 1 मंथ 1.5 मंथ वो मॉइस्चर पकड़ लेते हैं. इनफैक्ट मोस्ट ऑफ दिस पैक आर थ्रोन आउट विदाउट इवन कंप्लीटली यूटिलाइजिंग. तो ये हमने जब बोला कि आप ऐसे फेंकते क्यों हो, तो एवरीबडी सेज कि बहुत बड़ा पैक है वो गीला हो जाता, हम 5 रुपए के सैशेस तो नहीं ले सकते. सो देन इट गेव अस आइडिया कि एटलीस्ट ट्राई टू इंट्रोड्यूस अ ब्रीच पैक विच इज 25 ग्राम्स एंड नॉट 50 ग्राम्स. उससे होगा क्या, आपका मॉइस्चर भी नहीं पकड़ेगा और आप अच्छे से एक ड्यूरेशन के लिए 1 मंथ 1.5 मंथ के लिए आप कर पाओगे. नाउ दीज आर द random examples I'm giving where if you really understand the insights, you can build up a good strategy. So that was point on observations versus insight. Now let me dwell upon the next one, which is power of branding. We all know power of branding. We all know these brands, and I would like to just bring with you some samples, some numbers here. If you really say, and if you ask anybody which is the bigger brand, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I bet you everybody will say Coca-Cola is a bigger brand in terms of their revenue. But if you really go and see their revenues, by March of 2022, Coca-Cola sold $41 billion, while Pepsi actually sold double of it, $82 billion in a revenue. लेकिन हमारा माइंड शेयर ये बोलता है कि कोकोला इज अ बिगर ब्रांड, तो ये ज्यादा सेल होता होगा. एंड इफ यू सी द brand value of Coca-Cola is 66 billion US dollars versus Pepsi, which is just $21 billion. Now there is no rocket science here. Coca-Cola is a brand which is built over the period of time consistently with the single proposition and consistent advertising, whereas Pepsi is a brand which has changed their logos, changed their communication every now and then. In a different countries, their communications are absolutely different. At the same time, they are not really focused. They have got variety of the businesses, etc., right from their lace to any other thing, etc. So those are the things which are very, very critical in the branding. Why I'm saying there's a power of branding is because while your revenues are half in Coca-Cola's case, but your brand value is four times, 3 times than that of Pepsi. So that is where the branding actually comes into picture. बहुत सारा कंपनीज होता है ना मार्केटिंग को ज्यादा, आई मीन दे डोंट गिव मच ऑफ द इंपॉर्टेंस टू मार्केटिंग और द ब्रांड बिल्डिंग एक्सेट्रा, बट अल्टीमेटली योर बिजनेस एक्चुअली थ्राइव्स ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द ब्रांडिंग, and you earn more. You might even earn much more than your revenues through the branding. This is the power of the branding. I mean, everybody knows that, when you brand the product, you command the premium, and the commanding of the premium might be threefold, fourfold, even fivefold, etc. It all depends on how do you brand, how consistently you brand. On a roadside, you must be getting a coffee at 60 rupees or 100 rupees, but if you want to really have the experience and show it to your people, etc., yeah, it's the power of status, etc., you can go and go into any of the cafes like Starbucks, etc., where you will start with any the minimum amount you pay for any coffee is about 235 to 250 rupees. Now that is why you're paying for that. You're paying for the experience, which actually completely takes care of not just the product but the entire experience which you get. That's the whole, or the complete offering which is given by the branding commands that much of the premium. So I mean, so that's the power of the branding, and it can never ever be overestimated. So that's the third point which I wanted to just leave with. Key branding has some obviously benefits, and that is where you can actually do change the perception of the people to get more business out of whatever you're selling. So what you're selling is never the, I mean, most of the marketers will, again, if I ask questions, ki, what are you selling? They end up telling the product. They end up telling the what is the functional value, etc. But the real branding person or the marketing person will always talk about the much larger picture. What is the key giveaway which is giving to the consumer is not just a product, but the overall experience, the higher value. For example, Nilons as a product, I mean, it's we are not selling achars, we are not selling the ginger garlic paste or tutti fruities, etc. We are selling the taste, we are selling the pair, okay, the pair which actually you get out of the traditional products, okay, and that is how the branding and marketing actually works. So in a simple terms, I mean, there are thousand definitions of the branding. Sorry, I was just having sip of water. So the branding, I mean, five different people will define branding in a different, and they are all correct. Okay, branding is nothing but actually building the trust for your products or offering, etc. And there can be various ways. I mean, there can be one way where somebody says that branding is nothing but putting what you want to think the consumer in consumer's brain. If I want consumer to think that this brand is about refreshing, then I do something so that somebody in his head or her head, this brand is nothing but a refreshing one. So those are the cases which we actually come into picture. When we actually dwell into the rest part of the presentation, we will come to brand purpose, etc., and insights, etc., where you will understand more about the branding. So it's a concept which is very well available across Google, across your books, etc. Most of the people actually speak about, etc. And there is no definitive answer to what exactly it is, but in the essence it is the same thing. It is nothing but building the trust in favor of your offering, whether it's a product, service, or organization. So then there are various concepts around branding. There are the brand building books, there are the architectures, etc., positioning, etc. But I'm not going into details of that because I presume that most of the people must be knowing it. But one factor and one most important thing is brand purpose, which I have not seen most of the people talking about. But that's the essence of it. When I say a brand purpose, whenever any marketing company or any organization is investing a lot of time and effort and resources, they are definitely doing some purpose. Okay, so if the brand knows its purpose, then you can completely design your marketing strategy and your sales strategy, your complete organizational strategy on the basis of that. When you say the purpose, if you are very clear about the purpose, now the purpose you have to set into somebody's brain. So left side of the screen, when you're seeing the brain, ultimate goal of a marketer is to fit in what you want to them to remember in their brains. अगर उनके ब्रेन में वो चला नहीं गया, then all your efforts are zero. All your efforts are null and void. On the second side, you need to say love, which is the affinity for the brand. आप जब consistently ये करते हो, when you do deliver the product or the services in the best form, You solve the purpose, and when you consistently advertise and enhance the experience of the consumer, ultimately what you get is a love, okay, from the consumer. And that's the whole concept of the brand purpose. Let me just dwell upon more into this. Is actually you see three circles and three are overlapping. What the world needs is absolutely a need gap. जरूरत है कि नहीं? Most of the brands, you will see, most of the brands which are absolutely the labels and not brands, they just copy what competition is doing. उन्होंने मार्केट में कुछ प्रोडक्ट डाला है तो मैं भी डालूंगा. नाउ आई मीन देयर इज नो पर्पस. आपको पता नहीं नीड है कि नहीं है, बट वो बिजनेस कर ले इसलिए मैं कर लूंगा. सो देयर यू लूज द पर्पस. What you are good at, you might not be good at selling that, but because somebody is making money out of that business, you are getting into the business, so that also defeats the purpose. And then what you are passionate about. Imagine you have identified the purpose, identified the need for the market, and you might be very good at doing that. But if you're not passionate about that, you are more likely to fail into building the brand. Because what happens is, what you're good at might be a very mechanical thing. What the world needs, somebody might actually offer that and service that product. But if you're not passionate about it, and if you're not continuously serving that purpose, then you are likely to fail. So the brand purpose, in a sense, is a very very big idea of sole purpose why brand actually exists and why business actually exists. If you are not very clear about the brand purpose, then you are likely to again fail into the marketing. क्योंकि हम क्रिएटिव बनाएंगे, पोस्टर्स बनाएंगे, टैक्टिकल बनाएंगे. मोस्ट ऑफ द पोस्टर्स एंड मोस्ट ऑफ दिस एक्चुअली ब्रांडिंग बिकम्स वेरी वेरी टैक्टिकल. इट इज मी टू, उसने किया इसलिए मैंने भी किया. देयर इज नो यूनिक थिंग एक्सेट्रा इफ इट इज नॉट ड्रिवन बाय द पर्पस. Let's see some of the brands, best known brands, and their purpose. You will understand how they do the marketing basis of the purpose. My very very close to my heart, a favorite example, Coca-Cola. It's a brand which actually adore, and I study a lot about Coca-Cola. They have done tremendous jobs, and that is why they are here. It is one brand which is marketed to everybody, and there is no segmentation for that. They have defined their purpose as very very clear: refresh the world and make a difference. And they're actually doing that through each and every activity of that. I might not like the product, but I like the brand, because I don't want my kids to consume Coca-Cola because it's a sugar drink, but I love the brand. You know why? Because it actually refreshes me. जब मैं ऑफिस से आता हूँ, okay, and when you are actually done to death with the work and you really need a break, you actually end up listening to music. And when I listen to music, on YouTube, I go to Coke Studio songs. Now, Coke is a brand which is actually helping me to refresh my mind with the music tie-up and associations they are doing. Now, it's an amazing example how brand actually can entrench into your mind. Might not be through product. I might not end up buying Coca-Cola product, but the brand remains very, very relevant to me and my life. So that's the thought they are actually going through, and that is why every communication is talking about refreshing and happiness. So they don't actually move away from that. They are very very core to that, and they are doing best job out of it. So the point here is, again, you need to stick. You need to find the purpose and build your entire strategy. Another one, Starbucks. Their purpose is to inspire and nurture the human spirits, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. There is a trivia I would like to give. Starbucks tables are always round and they are not square. And there is a reason for it. If there are square or rectangle tables, people are likely to be as far from them as well possible. But they intentionally design their cafes with a round table so that people are near to each other. They are close to each other. So they actually, with this, they inspire and nurture the human spirit. Now it's a very huge thought, a very very amazingly executed thought. It might not be just into the brand building, okay, I mean just not into the advertising, but the way they implement, the way they design their ambience of the stores, etc. So amazing example. So the point here is, again, they know what they are here for. They are obviously here for making money, but making money does not happen that way. You got to make the presence to the consumer's brain and buy their brains and give them the reason why they are liking you. And that is how precisely Starbucks is doing. Another wonderful example, Nike. You must be wondering why Nike ad में यार shoes दिखाते लेकिन इतना बड़ा दिखाते नहीं, and always they are showing some athletes moving here and there, etc. They are jumping, they are running, they are always in action. There is a reason behind it. I mean, they don't show completely. In most of the advertisement of Nike, you will not even see the entire shoes with the complete glamorization. They are not focusing to that extent. Each of this communication actually speaks about, uniting the world through sport and creating a healthy planet, an equal playing field for all. Whatever it is, somebody might be pregnant, somebody might not be having two limbs, somebody might be challenged physically, etc. But this is the brand which takes all of them and make advertisements and really create the change in their life. So that's the purpose they are living, and that is why whenever Nike is doing communication, we all like the communication. Dove is another example. Stop the beauty test, which is the campaign, long-standing campaign, a very very well-received campaign. Again, talks about a singular purpose to encourage women to develop the positive relationship with the beauty, helping to raise their self-esteem and realize their full potential. While there are so many soaps, so many face creams, etc., they are all saying that if you are beautiful, okay, you can get anything in the world. But that actually is a big injustice to people who might not be really fair or not beautiful, etc. And that is where Dove actually thinks about the inclusivity, and with that purpose they make the advertisements very well received, and that's why the brand is being sustained, thriving, and growing. Okay, so that was about the brand purpose. The next thing is then how do we go to the people? How do we select the target markets, etc. So again, there is a discussion. We can have a strong discussion about what is segments and what is target. In the books of MBA, it is taught that segmentation is one thing, targeting is one thing. But again, I fail to understand from most of the people when I come across, and I think there is a gray area, and people most often they interchange the terms, but they are not the same. So let's try to understand what is segmentation and what is target and how they are different, because that actually आपका जब business execution में आता है, so this strategy is very very critical. So please, I mean, I request everyone to just spare some time here to understand the critical difference. We all know segmentation is on the basis of the demographics, geographics, behavioral, etc., etc. So there are lots of statements here. So segmentation actually is no brainer. It is about finding the homogeneous groups of the people belonging to particular gender or particular geography or demography or the behavior, etc. So in this example, when you what you see on the screen, imagine they are the people who might be belonging to either sex, their income groups might be whatever, etc. When you say that this is the specific group which belongs to this age group, and SEC, ABC, whatever it is, and their behavior, media behaviors are like that, and their eating behaviors or lifestyle, etc., is blah blah blah. So you come to a homogeneous segments, which is called a segmentation. For example, 1 billion population of India may say, if I want to launch a shoe which is not sports shoe, which is very very casual like a sneaker, etc., then I will say I want to give the comfort to the segment of the people who are 25 to 45, male and female, living into the towns which are above 25 lakhs population, and their income is at least 50,000 rupees a month. For example, just hypothetically, this is my segmentation. Now here comes the targeting. Now segmentation is a cluster where I might end up with this definition from 1 billion, I might really end up with 5 lakhs people in India or whatever. It's just hypothetical number. So the 5 lakh people become my segment, but targeting is very different. Targeting is when within your segments, the people have the affinity to the buy your product. You need to understand there is a source of business. अगर कोई आप लॉन्च कर रहे हैं तो कोई ना कोई तो कंपटीशन होगा. You are not going to get the new customer always. You will have to take that from somebody who is using something. Probably they are using Bata slippers or whatever right now. You understand out of this segment These are the 20% people who are using this, and I am finding these people as my source of business. So what happened when we zoom into this cluster, जो हमने segment किया था, when you zoom into that, I see these are the 4 people who are currently buying something which is related to my business or something related to my offering, and then I precisely target them as a source of business. तो क्या करूंगा मैं, एंड दिस टर्म इज वेरी वेरी लॉजिकल व्हेन इट कम्स टू डिजिटल मार्केटिंग. व्हेन यू से परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग, आप क्या करते हो? फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू आर सेलिंग पार्ले बिस्किट ऑन से एनी Amazon और बिग बास्केट एक्सेट्रा, परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग क्या करता है? इफ देयर इज अ राइवल ब्रांड, फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रिटानिया, ब्रिटानिया का परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग क्या करेगा? They will identify the people who recently bought Parle ka biscuits, and then they choose the profile of them and target their ads to them. कि last time you bought Parle, how about buying it this time? So इन लोगों ने क्या किया? वो जो सेगमेंट नहीं किया उसमें से, उन सेगमेंट में से वो टारगेट देखे कि विच आर लाइकली टू बी अ सोर्स ऑफ बिजनेस फॉर मी, दे आर लाइकली टू शिफ्ट. And that is where the whole concept of performance marketing actually is then. टारगेटिंग वही है, आपने फेसबुक पे कुछ देखा या फिर आपने कुछ बात की कि यार मुझे आज मूवी जाने का है, एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन यू सी द एड्स ऑफ द मूवी विच आर स्क्रोलिंग इन योर फीड. So वो actually AI say somebody is listening there and you are being targeted. So that precisely is targeting. So targeting is basically a propensity of a consumer to buy your product and your source of business from the competition most of the time. While segment is a very very broad definition of those are the potential business. So आप क्या करोगे? टारगेट ने आपने सपोज 10 लोगों को किया है ना, तो 10 लोगों के साथ आप बिजनेस कर लोगे, उसके बाद देन यू मूव आउट ऑफ देम एंड गेट इनटू द रेस्ट ऑफ द सेगमेंट एक्सेट्रा. So that's the basically difference between segmentation and targeting. Next is packaging. As I said at the start of my presentation, when it comes to food, packaging is quite critical. Critical to the extent of the in the food category, packaging more often than not is your best source of advertising, because people are spending a lot of time reading your packaging, your labels, and if you can, and there is lot of clutter in the Indian context where most of the transactions actually happen on in GT. There is a lot of clutter. I mean, there are 1,000 brands which are fighting for your eye share. And there, if your packaging is good, attractive, and solving the purpose, then you are more likely to win the race. So there are various examples of good packaging, etc. I just tried to pull out 4 or 5, which I thought that might be quite useful here. Kinder Joy is one brand which actually stands out in the very crowded market. The market which is flooded by Amul, Cadbury, Wrigley's, Parle, Britannia, and lots of players. It's completely flooded market, and kids were actually enjoying that market. They were never having any needs to have a new kind of the offering. But when any kids, they are spending some money for their chocolates or whatever, they savor it, okay, and they spend quite a lot of time enjoying it, to the extent that they even exhibit it to their siblings, etc. Kinder Joy has actually utilized this insight in very very unique packaging. If you say by end of the day it is the same chocolate, etc., but it is offered in a very very unique way in a egg format. At the same time, they are also giving them the toys, okay, for them to use. And that's the reason, that's a critical reason why somebody can spend 40 rupees for a chocolate which you can buy in just in 5 rupees. So that's a classic case, and my favorite, where the packaging can actually engage somebody. Even Oreo for that matter, when they show that dip it, suck it, etc., etc. So I mean, that is how you make the packaging and communication where somebody can engage you to consume the product. Another brilliant example, uh, Indulekha or Kesh, or whatever, those are the brands which have already started coming with the applicator. In Camlin, we have done an applicator. Camlin में आपका जो glue होता है, glue में most of the time you actually make your hands very messy for applying it. So we have come up with the cap which has a applicator. Now that's one example which I myself have done, and we have won product of the year that year. Here, in Indulekha case, it's also one of the very very good example of how product packaging can actually help for the application. because we understand very well कि यार चंपी करना है तो चंपी के लिए you have to spend lot of time etc etc. But this is the solution which is given by the brand, where you can directly apply it, the oil on your scalp, and it will do its own massaging. ID Fresh is another example, which they are coming up with every new product. They're coming with a new packaging innovation. Now, if you say batter, which is available in the market, in the commodity market loose segment, it comes into the pack, which can be poured into the pot, and then you are left with doing all those messy things. And more often, when you are doing मेंदू वड़ा का जो आपको राउंड रिंग दिखाई दे रहा है ना, these rings are actually very nice because it is coming out of that squeeze pack in a uniform tube format, and when they are actually put directly into the oil, they give you that kind of a ring. Imagine if you're not doing this, you are mixing it, etc., then you are likely to get a different sizes, different shapes, etc., etc. So here is a brand which actually reduces the task of doing that to give you the perfect round, the mendu vadas. Paperboard was a success story, which was completely built on unique packaging. If you really see and track the food packaging, most of the beverages, until paperboard came into picture, they were all into the rigid packaging. By rigid packaging, I mean bottles. Bottles का problem ये होता है कि whenever you want to carry those bottles here and there, etc., you need specific space in your bag to carry those bottles. Here, Paperboard actually came up with the flexible packaging, a breakthrough packaging, where आपके बैग में पता नहीं जगह है कि नहीं, आपका वो इतना फ्लेक्सिबल है कि आप उसको घुसा सकते हो, एंड यू कैन हैव इट. सो दैट वाज वन वेरी वेरी क्रिटिकल इंसाइट कि मुझे मेरे बैग में जगह नहीं है, बट आई एम एक्चुअली गोइंग ऑन सम ट्रिप और आई एम ऑन द गो. I don't want to carry that bottle because it's a hassle for me. Then there comes the solution: paperboard, a flexible packaging which you can put anywhere in your bag as per the even the in least amount of space available. So that's the insight which I have derived from that, and my favorite packaging example. Packaging can be authentic and thankful as well. At Nilon's, there is a contest which we have started, which is called as Pyar Achar or Mocha. Pyar Achar or Mocha is a contest where we wanted to give entrepreneurship support to people who really make good achars. So हम लोगों ने contest किया, and we have got 2088 entries from all over India, and out of that 16 best unique pickles we are promoting. And when we are promoting the authentic recipe of them, it has to be packed into very unique things. For example, अब अचार में जितनी भी बॉटल है सब ग्लास की होती है, पीईटी की होती है, एंड ऑल हैव कलरफुल लेबल्स एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. But if you are talking about this is authentic, it's traditional, and it's handmade, then you got to have a better thinking when you're designing a packaging. And this is what the packagings we at Nilons have thought about, when we are going to launch the product. The product will be launched post Diwali. So I am actually giving you the insight into it. So this is going to be a bottle, which is HDPE bottle. And thankful, when I say thankful, if you really notice the graphics on the packaging, Nilons is at the bottom, while the recipe, somebody who has actually given me that recipe, uska photo, uska contestant number is at the top. So this is what I call authentic and thankful packaging. So it's a unique one. Obviously, it will shout out, and it will also give that essence of traditional and authenticity. Are you guys with me, Ritvika? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Perfect. Again, Bisleri. I mean, when we are working on the Bisleri, most of the people would be saying कि यार Bisleri में काम करने में क्या मजा है? I mean, what is there in marketing? I mean, क्या करोगे? Okay, it's पानी, it's water by end of it. उसमें क्या होगा? But mind well, Bisleri is one brand which is servicing needs of each and every segment. Why there is a brand which is 300 ml, 250 ml for the caterers. We have got 500 ml brand which is for your individual consumption. We have got 1 liter brand. We have 2 liter. We have 5 liters. We have 20 liters, and we have also introduced 10 liters. अभी ये पैकेजिंग में इनोवेशन इसलिए किए गए बिकॉज इट एक्चुअली एड्रेसेस द नीड्स ऑफ डिफरेंट पीपल. 5 लीटर का जो पैक होता है दैट इज इधर यू आर कैरिंग टू अ पिकनिक्स, और मोस्ट ऑफ द हॉस्टल्स या फिर मेडिकल की जगह होती है शहर में जहाँ पे लोग रुकते हैं, 3 दिन का डोज लेते हैं। तो इनसाइट इज मोस्ट डॉक्टर से कि आपको 3 दिन का डोज दिया गया है, आपको पानी बिस्लरी का पीना है। बिस्लरी का मीन्स ही एक्चुअली सेज दैट पानी आपको प्यूरिफाइड पीना है, मिनरल वाटर पीने का है। तो देन दोज पीपल एक्चुअली कैन नॉट बाय 5 bottles of बिस्लरी. So then that is why there is a intervention in terms of the 5 liter thing. This Rockstar is an innovation where it is unique drop size, which is for most of the people to carry, which is क्योंकि क्या है ना, 250 ml का जो बॉटल है which is typically seen at the caterers. So when it is seen at the caterers and meetings etc, it doesn't have that kind of appeal. So that is why 300 ml just 50 ml डाल के उसका अलग एक किया है, so that it has got a premium. So जो जो 5 रुपए का बॉटल आता है, ये 10 रुपए में बॉटल आता है. So it actually incites you and it actually gives you some reason to smile. So that was the reason how we have gone ahead with differentiation in the packaging. Cheers is another example. When I came into Nilon's, we were entering into category of beverages, and beverages is a very very cluttered category. As I said, the fight is at the shelf to shout out how you're different, and you will end up seeing most of the packaging cylindrical. Everyone is cylindrical. सबको पैकेजिंग का जो लेबल है इतना लिमिटेड होता है. So we thought about breaking that code, and to break that code we have come up with something called as Cheers, which is unique bulk packaging. So that was packaging. Let's speak about advertising. Advertising, most of the people like advertising because obviously it tickles our bone and it changes our perception. But advertising is built on very very nice insights. Those advertising actually stays for a long, and they are immortal, while advertising which is just for selling something without the insights actually dies down very very fast. There is a difference between a brand and the label. Okay, now the label is something which does not have any purpose. Okay, does not advertise, it is just for sake of it, while the brand actually speaks something about it. So I tried to pull out some of the examples which I think are the iconic and great insights. I will just run you through those and then we will wrap up. This is one of my favorite example. Whenever you see a waterfall, the first thing comes to your mind about the brand is Leril. Now it was built on a very very nice insight that whenever, I mean, there is always a fantasy, there is always a freedom everybody wants. Why taking the bath should be an experience only in the four walls of the bathroom? Now that was a thought when great Alec Pedamsi actually said, "Let's take my protagonist out in the nature where she can exhibit her complete freedom to get that freshness." And that's how that la 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 la, the famous jingle actually came into the picture. And the Liril, after so many decades, still continuing that communication. So that's a great insight. Okay, I mean, इफ यू वांट फ्रेशनेस, अभी आप देखो ना जितनी भी ब्यूटी की एड्स है, एवरीबडी इज स्टिल कंस्ट्रेंट इनटू दैट फोर वॉल्स ऑफ bathroom, and everybody is saying ki, you get beauty out of it etc etc. Liril never ever said it gives you beauty, but still it survived and it grown. The beauty was they have actually broken the code of advertising. They have actually gone into the insights about somebody's fantasies. They want to be having freedom and refreshing out in the nature, ek to beach pe ya fir waterfall pe or whatever it is. And that's where the brand has become iconic even today. Another brand, whenever you go, our network follows, simply built on Indian का insight. यार मेरे पीछे कुत्ते की तरह पड़ गया है. These people are following me like यार मेरे मेरे पीछे कुत्ते का पड़ गया या फिर हाथ धो के पड़ गया है. अब ये सीधा कल्चरल कोड है इंडियंस का. मेरे पीछे कुत्ते की तरह पड़ गया है. अगर if somebody listens to that, and then the brand and the advertising agency like Ogilvy start building the complete communication on the basis of that. Otherwise, you would have never even watched dogs, whatever, how, I mean, cute तो होते हैं, but dogs को ad में क्यों देखेंगे? But the context and that insight was built in so superbly, even after 18 years of launch, the brand, I mean, we are still hungry to see the ads like this. And that's the power of insight, which was which was very, very synergistically interwoven into the communication. So that is why the great advertising, that's how great advertising is all about. Okay, they have never ever said कि इसका इतना प्राइसिंग है या वॉट एवर इट इज. दे जस्ट सेड कि आप कहीं पे भी जाओ, whether you're sleeping, you're going for peeing, or whatever it is, my network will follows. And that was symbolically done by none other than our pug. Another example, not very very good example, but it's still very very relevant. Not best of the advertising, but they have actually cracked on the insights. हम इंडियंस को कितना भी बोले, हम कितना भी गाड़ी ले, बड़े से बड़ा ऑफिसर या कुछ भी हो, अपनी लाइफ में पेट्रोल भरने के बाद हमेशा बोलता है कि पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ गए. सो माइलेज इज समथिंग, कोई बात करे या ना करे, माइलेज इज समथिंग ऑन योर टॉप ऑफ योर माइंड वेन एवर यू आर बाइंग cars, etc. So Maruti knew this. Maruti is a mass brand and they are people's brand. So they knew this and they came up with this kitna deti hai, which is about the mileage, etc. So the insight was very very clear that people are concerned about the mileage, and that is where Maruti comes in as a solution. Despite you might be showing quite fancy stuff, etc., that was a very indirect take on the premiumness or rest of these claims which are done by rest of these brands, etc. But then they achieved it, and we still remember kitna deti hai. Maruti ke sath, Maruti must have been doing 20 campaigns, 30 campaigns in a year. But what still stays in your brain is kitna deti hai. Another Cadbury campaign. कुछ खास है हम सभी में. द ब्रांड लाइन, द कुछ खास है हम सभी में इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग लाइन है कि हम सभी, ऐसा कोई बंदा नहीं होगा, देयर विल बी नोबडी विच इन द वर्ल्ड हु विल नॉट अग्री टू दिस. And they have capitalized that again, woman with the freedom shown, dancing her best, and that is why this brand, again this campaign has become quite iconic. And uske aap kitne bhi renditions karo, the latest rendition which was done with the boy dancing, etc., it was a hit and it will be a hit. क्योंकि हम सभी, इनफैक्ट आई रिमेम्बर, मेरे फोन पे मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम द कॉलर ट्यून भी था. ओके, सो कुछ खास है हम सभी में, बिकॉज आई स्ट्रांगली बिलीव दैट वी ऑल आर टुगेदर, वी ऑल ग्रो टुगेदर, एंड हम सभी में कुछ ना कुछ खास है. एवरीबडी हैज टू कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट समथिंग एंड एवरीबडी स्पेशल इन वन फॉर्म और द अदर. ये छोटे से इंसाइट पर ये ब्रांड बिल्ड हुआ है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट्स स्टिल वन ऑफ द बेस्ट कैंपेन्स एंड ऑनगोइंग कैंपेन्स, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट्स माय वन ऑफ द फेवरेट कैंपेन. समझदार बिस्लरी पीते हैं. Coming back to my own experiences, when I came into Bisleri, there were lots of challenges. We've seen that left, right, and center, there are so many labels floating around, lookalikes of Bisleri, green labels. And while the mind share was 100% to Bisleri, the market share was not. So the difference between the mind share and market share was that the transactions were happening at the retail outlet where people were asking for the Bisleri, और रिटेलर कुछ भी थमा देता था, बिकॉज दे आर द लुक लाइक्स ऑफ दैट. सो ग्रीन देखकर लोग समझ जाते थे बिस्लरी आ गया. दे वर लीस्ट बॉदर्ड अबाउट इट. So that is where we first started coming up with the packaging where people can at least read. By the way, most of this transaction actually happened at the transit points. Bus station hota hai, railway station hota hai, or the exit points, and most of the cities jahan se people actually travel to the nearby cities. Here, most of the people are in a hurry and they never bothered while they thought that they are buying Bisleri, but they are given some substitute, some other brands. So, a insight ko hum logon ne, we actually first started putting one वो लेबल है ना, लेबल पे दो बिस्लरी के ब्रांडिंग होती है इंग्लिश में, तो हमने एक इंग्लिश रखा और एक रीजनल रखा. नाउ दिस इज अ बिग स्टेप क्योंकि इन्वेंटरी मैनेजमेंट इज अ नाइटमेयर, बट वी हैव कम अप विद 16 लैंग्वेजेस. आप गुजरात में गुजराती देखोगे, आप तमिलनाडु में तमिल देखोगे, आप कर्नाटका में कन्नड़ देखोगे. So with this, we have understood that there is a traction and people have started looking at it. People have started identifying कि what is Bisleri. अब इसके बाद to additional उनको momentum देने के लिए then we came up with the campaign. The campaign was simple. समझदार जानते हैं, समझदार बिस्लरी पीते हैं. Don't get fooled by anything. And that's why we launched first campaign where there are two camels which are shown. One asks for Bisleri. The retailer gives something else and he gives him back. So that's how the campaign. अभी इसमें भी अगर मैं सिर्फ दो लोग दिखाता हूँ, सुरेश अपना कैडबरी का 5 स्टार का एड है ना, सुरेश और रमेश, तो that would not be breaking the clutter. So we actually use the animal which actually best represents the thirst quenching, and that happens to be your camel. and I think we launched it in 2017. Okay, now it's 5 years. It is still continuing. It's probably one of the few campaigns which is still going with the real campaignable ideas. Otherwise, आजकल campaign ज़्यादा होते नहीं है. You will see every now and then the communication is actually changing. Thanda matlab Coca-Cola is another thing. I mean, they have nailed it and very hit campaign. The renditions of the campaign, simple, very simple communication. No hanky panky, simple. Thanda आपको चाहिए तो ठंडा का मतलब Coca-Cola होता है. Simple. With this line, they nailed it, and with likes of Amir Khan executing that campaign, it was at a different level altogether. Sorry, taking a water break. So that's it. I mean, I'm just summing up what we have discussed, in today's discussion. One very critical thing is that please identify trends and fads. They're very different things. And if you are very good at this, you're likely to succeed. Observations are not insights. Data is not insight. Information is not insight. Don't build your strategy just by what you're observing. Get into, you have to ask the questions why. Observation is what you have seen. But when you ask the question why is there what you have seen, then you get the insights and you can build a very solid strategy on that. Power of branding can never ever be overestimated. I mean, we are all in the world of branding. You might not be knowing, but every one of us is a brand, and every one of us actually has some attribute and commands some premium. Brand purpose is very essential, and I think it's a core of any business. If you happen to work in an organization which does not know their brand purpose, probably the first task which you can do is to see the brand purpose. Targeting is different than segmentation, and if you know this, then you're likely to build a solid strategy. We have understood the power of packaging and power of advertising. So that's it from my side, folks. Thank you for the kind attention. Okay, and I'm ready to take up your questions. So here I am, guys. Okay. Together we grow is what the motto I follow, and I would like to, if anybody wants to connect with me, we can continue this thing. Perfect. So, guys, over to you. I am done. Questions?
Yes, sir. I would be reading the questions now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So we
perfect.
have a first question. What is difference between a brand and a product?
A product is just a product. A phone. Now, this is a product. This is phone. Okay. But when you are spending your entire night waiting for iPhone, there is something in that product. Why you're waiting for that? Why you're spending 10 times more than what you get the same features, you get same things, etc. But when you have some kind of emotional connect, so that's a brand. Because the brand has got much more intangible benefits. अभी अगर मैं मेरा नॉर्मल अगर मैं सपोज इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माइक्रोमैक्स और समथिंग, आई मीन देयर इज नो ऑफेंस टू एनी ब्रांड, and I don't want to flash it. But if I want to flash it to someone, and I want to feel rich and better for myself, I would like to flash, for example, OnePlus or Apple. So that's a different. That basically is a different. Okay, I mean the product. अगर आपके पास branding नहीं है, if somebody doesn't have any perception about that product, it's just a me too, then it's a label at max. When you talk about, say, Amul is the taste of India, and you have trust in it. बट अमूल के जैसे काफी दूध के ब्रांड्स आते हैं. Okay, you might not like to buy it, so they are just a product. Okay, so that's basically the difference between product and the brand. The brand has got some intangible benefits and experience the things into it.
Next question is what are the steps involved in building a brand?
Okay, so as I said, first you should know what's the purpose. If you are building a business, for example, say you're a startup, you want to address the need. First, you want to understand what is the need, what is the market's में gap क्या है. if you don't know that and if you're just copying somebody else, then you're into the big shit. So you should not do that. First understand what is the gap, then understand what is your strength, then try to design a product as per the needs. Go to the consumer, validate that. Do not spend your money going across India, etc. You validate that with the test market, and when you do the test marketing, etc., you understand what is so critical about it, what is so different in it, and why consumer will pay for it. So basically, design your communication and offering, etc. Obviously, things like a distinctive packaging, distinctive communications, building your product on the key insights actually is very, very essential. So that's how you go about launching a brand. It's a long project, but it's a time worth spent on launching the project.
Okay. Next question is how to make brand unique in real life or how to catch market.
Unique means you have to stand out. Okay. For example, when I came into Nilons, and we have seen the category is quite cluttered. There are thousand players in literally in the food market. If you want to see, and if you want to stand a chance in this clutter market, the only way is to be unique. आप देखोगे फूड में सबके सब एडवर्टाइजमेंट में एक फीमेल होती है, वो किचन में होती है, एंड शी स्माइलिंग, और वहां पे प्रोडक्ट आता है, प्रोडक्ट यही बोलता है कि मैं बहुत टेस्टी हूं, एंड दिस हैपेंस विथ एवरीवन. अब आप समझ में नहीं आता आपको कि सोनाली बेंद्रे जो एड में थी वो प्रोडक्ट क्या था, या माधुरी दीक्षित जो एड में थी वो प्रोडक्ट क्या था, उसको पता नहीं है. So these are the codes which are created by the category, and everybody falls into that trap to do the same thing again and again. A clever marketer will always think, how do I break that code? Imagine अगर अलग पदम सिंह ने ये सोचा नहीं होता तो आज लिरिल इतना बड़ा ब्रांड नहीं बनता. ओके, सो हम लोगों ने क्या किया, जब हमारे पास ये था कि हमारे पास बजट ज्यादा नहीं है बट वी हैव टू स्टैंड आउट, वी हैव ब्रॉट इन पंकज त्रिपाठी विच इज द मेल. पंकज त्रिपाठी और कुकिंग का कोई संबंध नहीं होगा, बट वी स्टिल हैव टेकन दैट रिस्क कि एटलीस्ट ब्रेक द कोड्स ऑफ द कैटेगरी. और हर जगह पे खाना किचन में होता है. पंकज त्रिपाठी, वी हैव शोन हिम एज अ गुन, एंड ही डजंट प्रिपेयर दैट फूड, वो तो अपने अड्डे पे करता है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस विद दिस, व्हाट एवर फ्यू पीपल हु सी माय कम्युनिकेशन, they remember because it's completely different. It doesn't get into that me too into the sea of those many advertisements. So for making your brand unique, you got to be very bold, you got to take the risk. सेफेस्ट रिस्क, सेफेस्ट क्या होता है, उसने वैसा पैकेजिंग किया तो मैं वैसा बना दूंगा, उसने 20 ग्राम दिया तो मैं भी 20 ग्राम दूंगा, उसने जो फॉर्मुलेशन दिया मैं भी दूंगा. द रियल क्वेश्चन इज, अगर आप जो वो दे रहे हैं आप भी वो दे रहे, तो व्हाई शुड कंज्यूमर बाय इट? So you need to take risk, and you might ultimately fail. Okay, but the point is not whether you succeeded or failed, but as a marketer it's your duty to stand out and break the clutter and break the codes. So that's how you make the brands unique.
Next question is how much percent importance we should give to product taste and branding or marketing.
There is no answer to it. It all depends on what kind of category you are into, what kind of the development of the category you are into, what kind of competition is there. For example, there is no competition, you're coming up with the unique product, then you don't need to do much of the market test, etc. For example, if you're into the mobile category and developing some softwares, you don't need to do market research. You know कि this is the problem, मुझे यार ये ऐप चाहिए, तो आप बना लो, उसमें मार्केट रिसर्च करने की जरूरत नहीं. बट इफ यू आर इनटू द कैटेगरी विच इज कंप्लीटली पेनिट्रेटेड, देयर इज नो हेडवे, देन अगर आप शैम्पू में हो, देयर आर 5 टाइप्स ऑफ शैम्पूज, एंड यू से कि मुझे शैम्पू में आना ही है, देन यू विल हैव टू डू द रिसर्च कि वहां पे गैप क्या है. यानी मैंने 10 शैम्पू यूज किए हैं, बट शैम्पू के बाद वो ड्राई हो जाते हैं, कंडीशनर लगाने के बाद भी ड्राई हो जाता है, देन आई नीड टू रियली फाइंड कि इसको कैसे सॉल्व करें. सो इट ऑल डिपेंड्स कौन सी कैटेगरी हाई इंपल्स कैटेगरी है या कोई कौन सी कैटेगरी हाई इन्वॉल्वमेंट कैटेगरी है. अगर हाई इन्वॉल्वमेंट कैटेगरी है तो प्रोबेबली यू माइट नॉट रिक्वायर दैट मच ऑफ द इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. ओके, आप न्यूज़पेपर या फिर डिजिटल पे जा सकते हो, बट इफ यू आर इनटू द इंपल्स कैटेगरी वेयर छोटा छोटा टिकट साइज, जैसे टिपिकल एफएमसीजी, most of these products actually fall into the impulse category where you have to be on top of the mind of the people, so you will have to continuously advertise. And that's the reason most of this biggest brand like Amul इतना बड़ा ब्रांड है, 62,000 crores का ब्रांड है, and everybody likes Amul, and somebody asked me यार फिर भी ये ऐड क्यों करते. अमूल दूध पिता है इंडिया, वो तो रट गया है मेरे दिमाग में. Still it is coming. Why it is coming? Because they never want a consumer to not have that on top of their mind. So they still say Coke or Pepsi. Most of the people ask, यार ये इतना एडवर्टाइज क्यों करते हो, तो मैं वैसे भी खरीद दूंगा. But the day Coke stops advertising, Pepsi will make their headway. The day Pepsi stops advertising, Coke will do that. So in the impulse category, you will have to spend proportionately more amount of money in advertising. Does that answer
Uh,
that question?
yes, sir. Parle-G has new products like Parle-G Royal, Parle-G Kiss Me Oats, but these products have not advertised yet by the company. Still, they are selling in the market.
So
So, what
why?
is
So
the reason?
question is why? Is it?
Why? Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
why?
So Amol, क्या है? You don't need to advertise all the products. So the trick is in FMCG, if you have got the distribution is a very key strength. FMCG is all about two things: distribution and awareness. अगर आपके पास distribution है, तो you can actually build your pipeline टू सर्व दैट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर मेरे पास अचार का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है और अचार के साथ बाय करने में अगर कोई चटनी करता है, पास्ता करता है, सो आई माइट नॉट बी रियली थिंकिंग अबाउट दोस प्रोडक्ट, बट वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के साथ वहां पे वो प्रोडक्ट जा सकता है. सो दैट इज व्हाट पार्ले इज डूइंग. Okay, they already have the distribution, they are the related product in the category, so they have launched it. Probably if their ambitions of the sales is much high, they will invest into advertising depending on the competition. But right now if they are not getting the hit from the competition, ज्यादा competition है नहीं. क्योंकि most of the time इंडिया में क्या होता है, जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर और रिटेलर होता है ना, ही ऑलवेज फाइंड्स हिज सोलेस एंड इजी कि आप एक ही बंदे के साथ काम करो, उसके पास 10 लोग आके बेचेंगे. उससे अच्छा पार्ले वाला आता है ना, पार्ले वाले पहले ही 50 प्रोडक्ट डालता है कि उसने और 3 प्रोडक्ट डाले, तो कोई बात नहीं, मैं पार्ले से साफ कर लूंगा, बाकी लोगों को मैं खड़ा नहीं करूंगा. सो दैट इज हाउ सम ऑफ द ब्रांड्स कैन गो विदाउट एडवर्टाइजिंग. Does
Next
that answer the
question.
question, Amul?
I think, yeah, it does answer the question. So, next question is which certification is required for branding a new product?
Sorry, I didn't understand this question. Certifications.
Yeah, like, is there any certification required?
Okay, so whenever you're coming with a new brand, the one thing is that you have to protect the brand name. So we typically go for trademark certifications. For example, if I'm launching a brand XYZ, whatever it is, you want to protect it so that somebody should not monetize that. In that case, there is always you want to get into the trademark registrations. If the product is quite unique, somebody has never done it and it has got a science behind it, you can go for patent rights. So there are patent rights. Patent is actually about something unique in the product which nobody can copy for at least 20 years. I mean, let me just tell you, Coca-Cola is one brand which has never patented their product. You know why? बिकॉज दे हैव केप्ट इट सीक्रेट. अगर उन्होंने पेटेंट किया होता ना, तो 20 years के बाद उनको वर्ल्ड को दिखाना पड़ता था. एंड दे नेवर वांटेड टू डू दैट. सो उसका जो इसेंस है, वो इसेंस उन्होंने अभी तक किसी को नहीं पता है. एंड दे केप्ट इट, इट्स मोस्ट वाइडली केप्ट सीक्रेट. सो वो पेटेंट में नहीं गए. सो पेटेंटिंग इज वन थिंग इफ यू रियली हैव समथिंग यूनिक. More often than that, I mean, you don't have most of those unique things, etc. But when it comes to graphics, yes, you got to register your brand name. So there is trademark which is required. You will see TM in most. TM means you have applied for the registration, but the authority is still searching for that because they do wide search ki aisa naam kisi aur ne to nahi liya hai. So if they are okay with the search, etc., sab kuch ho gaya and you can claim that, then you get registered mark, which is R with the circle. So that is there. And then there is IPR. If you are doing the any piece of intellectual property rights, IPR is intellectual property rights. ये होता है आपके एसेट्स के लिए, नॉन टेंजिबल एसेट्स के लिए. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ ब्रिटानिया सेज टिंग टिंग टिडिंग and nobody has to use that ting ting tiding, then Britannia can actually register that in under the IPR. Titan can have that registered, unka jo tang 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 tang. So those are the assets of the brand which nobody can use apart from the brand itself. So those are the assets which can be registered under IPR. So IPR, trademark, and patent, these are the three registrations that comes to my mind for launching a product.
Thank you, sir. Also, Amol says thank you for that answering that Parle-G question.
Thanks, Amol.
And even like I had heard the product formula for Coca-Cola is locked in some kind of what. I don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah,
much
yeah,
true
yeah,
it
yeah,
is,
yeah, 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 yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's always
I mean,
roaming on
imagine,
Instagram.
that was wonderful thought. अगर पेटेंट कर लिया होता तो 20 साल के बाद वर्ल्ड को पता चल गया होता, एंड कोका कोला आज इतना सीक्रेट नहीं रहता। आई मीन नोबडी नोस कि उसके अंदर क्या जाता है, ऐसा क्या यूनिक है। So I mean, just a clever strategy, and that's why I said right at the beginning कि this is one brand which I follow, and it's amazing things to, I mean, it's an institution in itself for the learning.
Next question is, what could be the least amount of money to be spent on branding a new product?
There's no answer to this. I mean, there's no answer to this. If you are clever enough, you can still do that, but you have to be very very taking the risk. I mean, अगर आपने कुछ प्रोडक्ट इन अ क्लटर्ड मार्केट में डाला है, अगर आपके पास नहीं है कुछ मनी, सो रिस्क लेनी पड़ेगी। रिस्क ऐसे लेनी पड़ेगी कि उसका पैकेजिंग ऐसा अफलातून कर दो, somebody will reject it but it will stand out. Okay, I mean, स्टोरिया में था, तो स्टोरिया में when we were actually launching juice, स्टोरिया इज वेरी वेरी बिग ब्रांड फॉर मिल्क शेक्स। बट जब जूस हम लॉन्च कर रहे थे ना, तो मैंने ब्लैक पैकेजिंग सजेस्ट किया था। तो ब्लैक पैकेजिंग पर सब सेल्स वाले बोल रहे थे, सर ये इंडिया में ट्रेडिशनल नहीं जाता है, लोग नहीं लेंगे, ब्ला 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 एक्सेट्रा। बट देन यू हैव टू टेक द रिस्क, ओके, एंड यू हैव टू कम अप विद समथिंग एल्स। स्टोरिया में मैंने एक एडवर्टाइजिंग किया था राहुल गांधी का, विच एक्चुअली हैज अ बैकलैश फ्रॉम कांग्रेस। इट वाज अ स्पूफ ऑन राहुल गांधी। ओके, वी हैव नॉट स्पेंड मनी, ओके, बट यू कैन बी स्मार्ट एट अ टाइम्स विद सम स्टंट्स। I'm talking to this, because somebody asked me the question कि कितना मनी लगेगा। ओके, उसमें कुछ मनी लगा नहीं था, बहुत कम था एक्सेट्रा, बट वो स्टंट्स can backfire. Okay, I don't suggest everybody to do those stunts etc. It's a calculated risk which you have done, but there is no answer to it. It all depends on, अगर आप virgin category में जा रहे हो, the category which is into sunrise, there is no player, then you might end up with no money or in a very least amount of money. But you are entering into the quite cluttered category, then you need to have bags full of advertising, I know, all those monies etc. So there's no answer, definite answer to that question. If you're lucky enough to have no competition and you're lucky enough with the better market product fit, then without money you will be able to sustain.
Next question is, during initial days of business, how to target market with low budget or economically feasible?
Economy, again, I think it partly answered in my earlier question. It all depends. I mean, if you are coming up with very very unique strategy, for example, कभी कभी मुझे भी लगता है कि we generally think about big cities. If you go into the smaller cities or rural towns etc., they are still underserved with most of this category. When you do some market research or field visits, you have seen that some of the products which are caught fancies back in Pune's and Bangalore's or Bombay's of the world, छोटे cities में अभी तक नहीं है। तो if you start building your brand or a product etc. from the small markets, you might start with one or two towns and you gauge the understanding of the market, तो आपको पैसे की ज्यादा जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। Only thing is that you might not get much of the fanfare, इतना top of mind नहीं मिलेगा, media will not speak about it, वो आप glamour में नहीं रहोगे। But sometimes, because I discuss most of the time with most of the people, founders, D2C players, etc., which are having tough time selling. So हम we always end up with this thing कि यार इतने बड़े सिटी पे करने से अच्छा छोटी सिटी में करना चाहिए जहाँ पे बाकी लोग नहीं है। तो देयर इज ऑलवेज द एडवांटेज। तो अगर आपके पास बहुत कम मनीज है, तो यू कैन एक्सप्लोर द मार्केट्स विच आर नॉट डन बाय मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल, बिकॉज मोर ऑफन दैट नॉट Bangalore, Bombay will be saturated with lots of people and lots of ideas etc. They must be serving the needs here and there. So explore those smaller territories where you can test your concept. If it does very well, then you might open up new cities etc., and you might even build your brand from the bigger market or Bharat, as we say.
Next question is, customer reviews play a major role in this sector. So how often should we ask the reviews from the customers?
Customer reviews, what was very very tough earlier, because I spent time about 18 years into industries, and I've seen that before the advent of digital, it was one way marketing. Okay, I had to go to the consumer, ask भाई ये product कैसे लगा, इसमें क्या problem है etc. But with the digital marketing now, it is become very conversational marketing, it's two way marketing. It's no longer that one way. It's very, very participative. The consumer, if you are connected, if you have communities on, say, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, etc., you have the data points, you have the footprints of those people, and they're continuously engaging. And you can just share an email, you can just courier samples, etc., and you can get it. But that's the best thing. And we at Nilons are doing that. We are utilizing digital advertising not for performance advertising. We are utilizing that for co-curating our products. हम प्रोडक्ट भेज देते हैं, उनसे पूछते हैं कि रिव्यू कर दो, कैसा लग रहा है आपको, ठीक है, वॉट एवर इज दी, एंड देन वी क्यूरेट दैट. सो दे बिकम R&D ऑफ मी, एक्सेट्रा. So the customer reviews is very, very critical thing in certain categories. For example, service industry में बहुत ज्यादा important है. Actually, service industry thrive on customer relationship and post sale service, etc. That is not so much in FMCGs. FMCG में आपने कुछ कोक लिया, पिए लिया, तो there is nothing much. But आपने एक गाड़ी खरीदी और गाड़ी में problems आ गए, then you will spend your entire life, chasing those guys, etc. So customer reviews become very, very critical there. But thankfully in FMCG's case, it has become quite participative. That's why I can get customer reviews quite often. Imagine आप Amazon पे हो या some e-commerce platform पे हो, it's very, very easy to get those reviews, etc. Authentic reviews. You can reach out to them and make changes in your product.
Next question is, what are differences you have noticed when food products need to be marketed as compared to other products?
I think I have started the presentation with this. How critical is and how different is food marketing as compared to rest of the marketing. As I told you, the first thing is when you are marketing food product, you are actually aiming at share of throat. सबके गले के अंदर से अपना प्रोडक्ट जानने वाला है. So and that the product goes to throat only through your tongue. सबके taste buds अलग होते हैं. So you got to be quite mindful. You can never launch a product which is one size fits all in food. That is possible in rest. आपको कोलगेट का एक ही वर्जन अखे इंडिया में मिलेगा. Okay, but when it comes to food products, the dahi of Jammu Kashmir will be different than the dahi of Tamil Nadu. So that's how it is. That's one. Number two, your product packaging becomes very, very crucial because people interact with that, and reading of the label is key thing. So that's second, which is very, very critical. So you cannot fool consumers. You cannot fool them saying कि इसमें sugar कम, etc. Because FSSI actually mandates that to be done, etc. And it's going to be even stringent. So that is second. Number three, if you want to do change the habits and taste bud, etc., you got to do the sampling. Trial generation is the key here. अभी बाकी शायद trial generation might not be a very, very important aspect in some of these categories, etc. But in food, it's very, very critical. So most of the marketing budget actually goes into the trial generation for the most of the new products in the food category. So those are the 3-4 critical points. Of course, products are perishable. Okay, किसी का shelf life 3 months होता है, किसी का 6 months होता है. So you got to make sure that they fly up the shelf. Okay, so you got to be quite vigilant about that as well in the food packaging or in the food marketing. Have I answered that question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Even I have seen that Kellogg's company, first when they launched in India, they said we will change the way India
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, and now people are teasing them that you have introduced instant poha and upma and everything.
Exactly. I
So
mean, see culture. See, marketer has to understand the culture. वो culture को break नहीं कर सकते. उसके codes को break करना चाह सकते हो आपको, क्योंकि क्या है, वो latent होता है. अभी हम ये नहीं बोलते कि इंडियन वुमन को बाहर जाके नहाना ही है, बट किसी के दिमाग में तो है कि आई वांट फ्रीडम. ओके, सो दैट यू हैव टू एक्सप्लोर. लेकिन आप बोलोगे कि यार आप पोहा खा रहे हो, ये फालतू है, तो ये नहीं होगा. Okay, I mean that doesn't happen. You can't break the culture codes to that extent, etc. That's integral. That's integral. Oh, Colgate has started teasing that ki oh, I think there was one advertisement where Jijaji was showing brushing with hand, a finger, and क्या कोयला था, कोयले से. एट दैट टाइम दे विल सिंग आज इतना तन के लिए इतना सब कुछ, लेकिन दांतों के लिए कोयला. Okay, but after 20 years, Colgate launched something called as charcoal. So that is how it is. So I think, yeah, brand can be very very ambitious in terms of changing the culture, etc., but there are certain cultural codes which cannot be changed, and if can be changed, then it will take lots of time and lots of changing of the habit, etc., and brand has to be consistent. आपको पता है सेंसोडाइन कितने सालों से कोशिश कर रहा है कि आपकी सेंसिटिविटी के लिए, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल वंडर, यार ये क्यों क्यों खर्चा कर रहे हैं, मैंने आज तक कभी नहीं लिया, क्यों खर्चा कर रहे हैं, बट दे आर एट इट। उनको पता है कि ये मार्केट होगा, इंडिया में कभी ना कभी आएगा, वो वही घिसा पीटा कमर्शियल चला रहे, बट स्टिल दे आर वेरी वेरी परसिस्टेंट एंड कंसिस्टेंट एट इट। समवेयर इवन दे इफ दे से कि 1% मार्केट शेयर भी मिला ना मुझे टूथपेस्ट का, probably I have the first more advantage and I can build it to 5%, 6%, etc. So then that's the consistency. So if you are consistent and persistent at that, you can change the habits, etc. But आप कभी कभी आओगे बोलेगे कि पोहा मत खाओ, कि कॉर्नफ्लेक्स खाओ, तो वो नहीं होता है. So probably that is where they must have gone wrong. I mean that's my personal point of view.
Next question is, how would you rate ATL, BTL, and digital marketing in today's age, which has good return of investment when you are doing brand building?
So again, ATL, BTL will be required. Now, ATL, when you say ATL is about the brand building, it's a mass communication. Now, mass communication might not be always brand building. कभी कभी वो tactical भी होता है. For example, if you are coming up with some offer, for example, then you need to communicate that. संतूर के साथ हमेशा एक पेन फ्री आता है या फिर कुछ फ्री आता है, वो हमेशा देखते आ रहे हैं. संतूर ने कमीशन कुछ चेंज नहीं किया, बट दे हैव टू हैव सम न्यूज वैल्यू. So that is why they show it. It's not a brand building. It's the tactical communication. So ATL और BTL का मिक्स भी हो सकता है. Now BTL is required when you have to have an action at ground force. For example, if you are not spending money on ATL and you need to activate distributors, क्योंकि आपका माल लग चुका है, you are fairly distributed, but ऑफटेक्स आर नॉट हैपनिंग. अब ऑफटेक्स हैपनिंग करने के लिए आपको एक तो एटीएल करना चाहिए, लेकिन आपके पास उतना पैसा नहीं है, तो व्हाट यू डू, यू जनरली डू बीटीएल स्टंट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, आपने डिस्प्ले स्कीम कर लिया या फिर आप एक क्यूपीएस स्कीम कर लिया, सो दैट ट्रेड कैन पुश इट. सो जनरली फॉर द पुश ऑफ द ब्रांड यू नीड टैक्टिकल एग्जीक्यूशन विच इज थ्रू बीटीएल. एंड डिजिटल इज कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट. आई थिंक द डिजिटल का सबसे बेस्ट यूज कर रहे द कंपनीज विच आर इनटू द परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग. यू चेस पीपल, यू टारगेट पीपल. आज आज इसने मेरा वाला अचार नहीं खाया, कंपटीशन का अचार खाया, तो अचार उसने जो लिया है, आई विल पिक दैट गाय एंड स्टार्ट मार्केटिंग माय कम्युनिकेशन 10 टाइम्स इन हिज फेसबुक फीड, इंस्टाग्राम फीड और वॉट एवर. आई विल चेस देम. तो यही होता है. आपने एक एरोप्लेन या फिर कोई फ्लाइट चेक किया, तो आपको नेक्स्ट 10 दिन वो छोड़ेगा नहीं जब तक आप उसको उससे डिलीट नहीं करोगे आपके कुकीज. सो दैट इज हाउ इट हैपेंस. So digital has a very very specific role, and digital can also be used for brand building. It takes time, but it all depends on how big your market and how the segments are. If the segments are niche, then digital actually helps, and that is why on that principle most of the D2C brands are building.
Next question is, which type of marketing is effective, like newspaper ads, TV ads, or any other form of ads which company uses?
There is no standard answer to that. It all depends. I mean, there cannot be an answer to that. It all depends on what category you are into it, within the category what stage you are into it in product life cycle, and what is the competitive context.
Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. Most of them are answered. I would like to move to vote of thanks. On behalf of Foodyaari, I, Rutvika, extend a hearty vote of thanks to our guest speaker, Kiran Giradkar sir, for sparing time from his busy schedule and making us learn, or helping us learn would be a appropriate word. I also thank you for an engrossing session, especially the examples where you gave about the jingle ting ting ding. So it was like quite easy to understand. I also thank our attendees for being a wonderful audience. So thank you everyone and have a great night.
Thank you for hosting me, Ritvika. It was wonderful. I like the questions which actually popped up, and I just hope that I could answer few of the questions, etc. And whoever are the audience, they want to dwell more into this, etc., I'm happy to extend the help. They can connect to me. LinkedIn is where I spend most of my time. Okay, and they can connect to me on that. I'll be happy to share more insights. I keep on sharing, etc. That's the platform where people in the marketing community can spend considerable time to understand what's happening in the world of business, world of marketing, etc. So that's it. Happy weekend to everyone. I'm sorry I've taken your time, but I hope that it was useful. At least it was quite useful for me.
Yes, I hope like everybody learned a lot from this session. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Thanks, guys. Bye.